Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Combating Cancer. My name is Gwen Kelly, and I'm your host. If this is your first time tuning in today, I just want to say welcome and thank you so much for being here and becoming part of this community. It truly means a lot that you would take the time to listen. For any of my first-time listeners, a little background about me is that I was diagnosed with stage 3 astrocytoma brain cancer at the age of 19. The reason I created this podcast was because I wanted there to be a safe, honest, and open space for people who are walking through the many different sides of cancer. Whether you're someone currently in treatment, in remission, grieving the loss of a loved one, a caregiver supporting someone through this disease, or even someone who simply wants to better understand how to show up for someone in their life who is facing cancer, this platform's for you. Because one thing I've learned through this journey is that cancer can feel incredibly isolating. It can feel like the world around you continues moving forward while you're stuck trying to process something that completely changed your life. Everything suddenly feels uncertain, overwhelming, and unfamiliar. And that's why conversations like this matter so much, because a lot of the emotional parts of cancer are things people don't always talk about openly. Today's episode is about something that a lot of survivors quietly struggle with, and that is the loneliness that can happen after treatment ends. When you're going through treatment, there's a lot happening around you. Your life becomes very structured around appointments, medications, scans, and procedures. You see your doctors and nurses constantly. Your phone is full of messages from people checking in. Friends bring meals, family members drive you to your appointments, people are praying for you, thinking about you, and doing whatever they can to help. And during that time, your entire focus is simply getting through it. You're not really thinking about what life will look like afterward. Your only goal is to make it to the next treatment, the next scan, the next appointment. You're just holding your breath and hoping you make it to the other side. But something people don't talk about nearly enough is what happens once you actually do reach that point. When you ring the bell, when you finish your final treatment, when you take your last round of chemotherapy. Because when treatment ends, life doesn't magically go back to normal. In fact, for many people, that's when things can actually start to feel very isolating. All of a sudden, that routine you've had for months or even years disappears. The daily phone calls and text messages slow down, the meals stop coming, and people assume that because treatment is over, you must be okay now. But the truth is, cancer doesn't just disappear from your life the moment treatment ends. You're still dealing with the anxiety that comes up waiting for your scans. You're still waiting on blood work. You're still navigating the fear of recurrence. And at the same time, you're trying to rebuild a life that was suddenly put on pause. School may have been interrupted, careers may have been delayed, relationships may have shifted, plans for the future may have completely changed. And suddenly you're standing there trying to figure out where you even begin again. I remember talking to another survivor the other day who told me that the period after treatment was actually one of the hardest parts of their entire journey. During treatment, they had structure, they had support, they had a clear plan. But when treatment ended, it felt like everyone slowly stepped away. They described it as like they'd been pushed out of the nest before they even knew how to fly. And I think that's such a powerful way to describe that transition, because during treatment, communities rally around you, people show up in incredible ways, and that support is so beautiful and important. But survivors don't suddenly stop needing support just because treatment ends. In many ways, they're entering an entirely new chapter of their life that can be just as confusing and emotionally heavy. Now, personally, I feel incredibly fortunate because I have an amazing support system. I have people that rally around me, encourage me, and walk alongside me through every single part of this journey. And through this platform, I've been able to share updates and stay connected with people and put out all of my information that's been going on. But the truth is, not everyone has that kind of support system. Many survivors finish treatment and suddenly feel like they're navigating this next phase of their life completely on their own. And that's why I think this episode is especially important for the people listening who might have someone in their life who has gone through cancer, because the support shouldn't stop when treatment ends. You don't need to do some huge, elaborate gesture. Sometimes the most meaningful support is actually very simple. One of the biggest things you can do is simply continue to check in. A message saying, "Hey, I was thinking about you today. How are you doing?" can mean more than you could ever realize. Another really meaningful thing is remembering important dates. Your diagnosis anniversary is, scan days, the end of treatment, These days can bring up a lot of emotions for survivors, and just acknowledging them, saying, I know today might be hard for you. I'm thinking about you. I'm proud of you, can make someone feel incredibly seen and supported. Actually, something like this happened to me very recently, which kind of sparked this entire episode. I had just hit my 4-year mark of when I first found out I had a tumor in my head, and that day will always stay with me because it truly was one of the worst days of my life. That was the day everything changed. That was the day my life flipped upside down. That was the day I went from being a normal 19-year-old college student to suddenly hearing the words, "You have a brain tumor." Recently, one of our really close family friends, Pattie, who was actually there in the hospital with me during those early days, sent me a long message on that anniversary. She told me that she had been thinking about me that day. She reminded me how far I've come, how proud she was of me, and I can't fully explain how much that meant to me, because sometimes when you're the one who went through it, you're just focused on moving forward, the next scan, the next step, the next milestone. But when someone else pauses to acknowledge that moment and reminds you how far you've come, it really hits you. Just knowing that someone else remembered that day and was thinking about me meant the world. And that's exactly what I mean when I say the small things matter so much. Sometimes it's remembering a date, sometimes it's sending a message, and sometimes it's simply saying, I see how far you've come, I'm proud of you, I wish you didn't have to go through that experience, but you have come out stronger on the other side. Those moments can mean more than people realize. Another really helpful thing that you can do for someone after treatment is simply invite them back into normal life. Ask them to grab a coffee, go for a walk, watch a movie. Sometimes survivors feel like they've been separated from life so long that they don't know how to re-enter it. Being included reminds them that they still belong. It's also important to remember that emotional healing takes time. Someone might look completely healthy on the outside, but internally, they're still processing everything that happened. Cancer changes the way you see the world. It changes the way you think about time. It changes what matters most in life. And sometimes survivors struggle with the feeling like they are behind in life. While they were in hospitals and treatment centers fighting for their life, the world kept moving. Life kept going. And meanwhile, they were just trying to stay alive. That can create a really strange feeling of being out of sync with everyone around you. But something I always try to remind people is this: surviving cancer is not falling behind in life. If anything, it shows just how strong someone truly is. Survivors have faced something that most people will hopefully never have to face. And the resilience it takes to keep going through that deserves to be recognized. So if you have someone in your life who has gone through cancer, please don't disappear once treatment ends. You don't have to say the perfect thing. You don't have to fix everything. Just be present, because sometimes the hardest part of the cancer journey isn't just the treatment itself. Sometimes it's learning how to move forward once it's over. And with that, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode of Combating Cancer. If this episode resonated with you, I encourage you to share it with someone who might need to hear it, because conversations like this help people feel less alone. And that's really what this community is all about. As always, if you'd like to stay connected, you can follow along with my page, Combating Cancer. If you're someone you know would like to come on and share your story, or if you have a business organization or mission that aligns with this message, please feel free to reach out. And remember, no matter where you are in your cancer journey, you are not alone. And that is all I have for you guys today. I'll talk to you all next Wednesday.